Okay, everyone. Is this still on? Welcome to the Library Learning Commons. My name is Greg Bem. I am one of the faculty librarians here. Really appreciate you being here today. This is one of two poetry readings that is happening in the library today. It's part of a celebration of National Poetry Month, as well as a collaboration with Professor Mantooth of the English department, who has been very interested in working with the library to have poetry events here. So I wanted to thank Professor Mantooth. I wanted to thank also student programs for providing the coffee, which definitely helps me. I don't know about all of you. And also I wanted to thank the library team downstairs for helping support this event as well. So those are some thank yous. The format of this event is that after I'm done yapping up here and introducing the poet for this morning, Jekeva Phillips, Jekeva will come up here and read, and then there will be a brief Q&A that will end. This whole part will probably end in about 35 minutes. Okay? So if you have questions or comments for Jekeva, please note them. Maybe you'll want to write them down, and then once she comes up here for the Q&A, feel free to ask her or share with her whatever thoughts or wisdoms that you have. Okay? So without further ado, I don't want to take up any more time up here. I'm going to introduce Jekeva. She is a writer, educator, and performer. She's editor-in-chief of Word Lit Zine, a PNW Lit Quarterly. Her poetry chapbook, Le Amant, hit the shelves in 2016, and she is currently hard at work on her first novel, Sovereign. She also recently featured for an event I hosted in Southeast Seattle called the Rainier Valley Lit Crawl that saw writers come out into the Hillman and Columbia City neighborhoods and read at different venues. And she was an amazing performer. You can also join Jekeva both this coming Thursday in Belltown, Seattle. She's reading at an art space called Common Area Maintenance, which is right in the center of Belltown. The series is called Margin Shift. And also at her summer storytelling event, Bibliophilia, which is a festival held at Theater Schmieder in Seattle. So, and she's probably going to talk a little bit about that too. So without further ado, please welcome Jekeva Phillips.
Thank you, Greg. I will be reading from Les Amants, Lovers and Other Strangers. It's a collection of narrative confessional poetry that's about two lovers and their quest to find love and understanding. So I'll read the first half of my reading is going to be from one perspective, and the second half is going to be from the other. So I encourage you guys to listen and hear some of the repeating themes and imagery that you see. But without further ado, let's get down to this poetry business. Port-au-Prince, August 1991. Those summer nights I sat near the stern of my rooftop, sailing the 10 waves of the high seas, wishing to go beyond the gaping maw of shotgun houses, rusting in the rain, soaking the floor, the only joy, watching tiny paper boats floating by. I'd pull back the metal roof, hoping to catch white fins sprinting down brown streets. Beast to beast. I could hear the rain on the tin roof of my first home singing me to sleep. I think of you always. In the spring, you saved the solenodon from drowning in our gutter, the two of you silver-haired and shaking from the cold. You stroked its fur with hands heavy enough to crush its skull, one beast showing affection to another. Diner Martinique. We lived in a studio above Hell's Kitchen. We lived in a studio in Hell's Kitchen, above the only Creole restaurant amid a row of shotgun Irish pubs, where dark, beautiful women, proud black women with hips that swayed with sexual frankness and liberty, wore skirts high-tied at the waist to their voluptuous chests and strong, meaty arms, carrying trays of golden curried potatoes, red beans and rice, and thick, juicy chunks of chicken and sausage. We ate the eggs you smuggled upstairs in your apron, scented with cayenne and cardamom, the smell of which would wake me long before the morning. You held the nice white orbs up in the silver half-light of the room to inspect for cracks, the pop and fizzle of the radiator coming to life at the foot of our bed, warming my tiny feet and reminding you of Bill's. The Irish boys below serenade the Caribbean women with catcalls and playful jabs about their headscarves. The three of them form a barbershop trio, screaming into the vacant faces of storefronts, their meandering words falling away in a tuneless song. You open the windows and bay at them to shut up. There's a child up here, and she gonna get somewhere, not like your pasty drunk ass. The egg falls out of your hand, rolls off the brick ledge, and disappears into the night. I take a tea, gonna take a shite on me. That's a saying from the Lord Almighty. Don't quit your day job. Their cackles more jagged than their singing. You slump onto the bed, your skirt flowering out, your back hunched over, rubbing the shea butter from your legs and feet, your mahogany skin touched with silver. I can see every fine crack. You roll a little on your index finger and sweep it across my lips as the boys fade away down the street. Don't kill that funky skater. You shake your head, the peacock-colored scarf coming undone. You climb under the covers and put your feet on the radiator next to mine. Best not to be Irish, you'll say, in your last breath before sleep. One egg. One egg goes a long way. Past the drunk Latinos sleeping in the stairwell of a brownstone. Stir it up with top ramen and a waze. When they lunge at you, the carb boost will make it easy to leap out of their hands, the nails black as crescents. One egg lasts the whole walk to school, past manic-mouthed Arabs, cigarettes dancing on their lips, leering at your high red-boned skin and voluptuous breasts growing by the second. Add some green onion for flair, the taste, unfamiliar but nonetheless welcome. Those late nights you fall asleep in the crevices of books, their spines arched beneath your cheekbones. You dream in wavy noodles and fried eggs, billowing like clouds over your professor's head. Some nights you find yourself awake at the stove, shells hatched and sizzling in your cast iron skillet, the smell reminding you of home, of selenodones running wild on the roof, of your father singing sweetly before he breaks its neck, pouring the blood in the dirt, the earth so hot and dry it bubbles. He sees your future in the droplets, dancing on an endless diamond, your heart red and beating on the opposite side, in the careful hands of a stranger. Les Amants. This is an ode to the painting The Lovers by Rene Magritte, which inspired the collection. We kiss in the dark, a place our lips don't connect. Your gray eyes move like fog off the Irish Sea where we will first meet. I wonder if you see me too. Decided I would make tea with cream poured over madeleines that break under your tongue. Our crooked lips hanging half moves over tumblers of whiskey. We crush our bodies together in the blindfolded apartments of strangers. And this is going to be the last poem of One Perspective. Powder and Salt. Eastgate Street is iridescent under the lamps, pouring copper light, reflecting off the cobblestones, slick with fresh rain and paper-thin ice. The English winter shakes the bone white powder off my hands. They are trembling so bad. Perhaps it's 6 parts cold, half dozen hunger. The trois du surf has not eaten since we got to this white-ass town. The only thing of color, the stoic facades of this walled-in city. Trapped in black buildings and a sea of fog, I contemplate life choices. 3 high, asks Janelle, her brows knitting up. Renee takes off her cap, its flaccid mouth sinking into the wet stone. I fly Janelle up on my shoulders, her feet sinking into my back. Renee stands on my thighs, her pliable shoes floating away as Janelle hoists her high, the 3 of us a totem of smiling black faces. A little brunette girl in a crimson petticoat pulls at her mother's finely manicured hands. There is a wet flap of coins in the hat, followed by the unamused click of heels. We lean into the wind, a mercury monolith scattered into 3 tumbling balls. I hunch my back and push against the earth. I am airborne, free from everything that binds me. All I have is second nature, guiding my feet to the ground. Now for the second portion, Polaroid. 10 kids gather around a camera, all square, near the square, all pastels, khakis, and golden skin. Some pull back their mouths and stick out their tongues. I wonder who they will be when they look at this photo again, when today is long forgotten. Will their lips go back the same way? Butterscotch. My father was a big man, big hands, thick knuckles that he would crack at the dinner table before he cut into his meat, red and dripping from his chin. After dinner, he would sit in his chair, swirling an ochre whiskey meat that pinched his lips and gnashed his teeth. Now that's the butterscotch, he'd say, sucking his yellow teeth and reaching for his rolling papers, before he disappeared in a cloud of smoke. The license plate game. My mother never complained when we moved from Arizona. The three of us crammed like sardines in front of the family station wagon, her only friend, Mrs. Landingham, shrinking behind the boxes of our lives, as we crested the hill to a new future. War paint. My first kiss was from a girl named Tina, who wore red lipstick, slicing her mouth into 2 ruby rose petals that swayed and danced to young Americans. Sitting on the neon orange shag carpet of her basement, the bite of ochre whiskey on our tongues, smuggled from my father's smoking room. We sat side by side, facing the record player. She confessed that she had been a crack baby, and that her father had kissed her too much. She said that she had never knew a nice boy, her fingers running through my copper hair. I asked her how I would look with a mustache and goatee, too much like my father, she spoke, her voice like the dead. She asked me about Arizona, the expanse of sky, the immensity of the desert make her come to life again. I will take you one day, I promise. You can go anywhere. All you have to do is close your eyes, her fingers cascading down my face, fastening my eyelids shut. I can see large clouds blocking the sun, creating silhouettes of brown-baked canyons. I feel the incredible warmth of Tina's body, and I wear her lips on mine the whole way home. Twin vipers. Your sharp metallic fang bites into my virgin skin. Tina thwacks her serpent back to break the bubbles out of your venom. This will set you free, she says. Wrapping a yellow python around my arm, I bite the head and feel my blood boiling. Polaroid Part 2. This is how my friends will look when they are old, dull-eyed and bloodshot outside Vermilion nightclubs, a Turkish silver between their yellow, calloused fingertips, that sweet smoke streaming like a train they are too late to catch. Venom's kiss. East London is melting. The river is crawling out of the river, dragging its fingers down the buildings. All of the people are drowning. We are next. Polaroid Part 3. And this will be the last one. My first honest job, baker's apprentice, aka doing all the shit Mr. and Mrs. Bingham are too old and too feeble to do. They are good people that time and a good life have weathered. I carry the brown knapsack of rock salt, sprinkle it on the slick cobblestones leading to the shop front. There is a commotion gathering at the square, so I leave the door ajar, hoping the aroma of croissants and rich dark chocolate will lure passers-by. 3 figures bound and swerve in the middle of the square, the thin veil of fog making dreamers of us all. I call back to Mrs. Bingham, her C-shaped back stooped over a silver tray of golden pastries. Her wrists crack as she drizzles rivulets of caramel over bulbous apple turnovers. Go on, old boy, her peasant face curling into a smile. The three girls stand erect against the sky. One by one roll away, phantom elements in the fog. The last girl dives from the ground. Her bony, whitened hands land on the slick ice, and she falls onto her head, her legs splaying like open scissors. Face to face with a German shepherd, she narrowly escapes its teeth. Her friends pull her back like a rag doll into a bow. The audience claps, turns, and walks to their desired destinations. Do it again, I say, salting the earth beneath her feet. Thank you.
Thank you, Jekeva. So we have about 10 or so minutes for some questions, comments.
Yeah.
What inspired you to start writing poetry?
I went to school initially to be a filmmaker, and then I kind of fell in love with creative writing, and then they forced me to take a poetry class, and I thought, poetry, this is some bullshit. And then I took the class, and it kind of opened me up into a new way of storytelling and exploring the world around me in a more abstract way. So that's kind of how I started to fall in love with the beginning. Yeah, you in the hat.
What's your personal definition of poetry?
Ooh, that's a good question. It's the abstraction of language to create beauty. So a story is more narrative, but poetry, it can be anything it wants to be. It can be 3 lines, right? It could be 14 lines. It could be a prose poem. But it's more or less about how language bends and manipulates and both denies us of what we want and gives us what we desire in a way that's more creative than just simple narrative. Sure.
I love that definition. And then you said you went to school for filmmaking.
Yes.
Working on a novel. You write poetry.
Mm-hmm.
How do all the different mediums inform each other? How do you bring all those different inspirations into one place?
Well, part of the reason, and this is going to sound like shameless self-promotion because it is, so I have a storytelling festival that I do every year called Bibliophilia, and it combines poetry and prose and other forms of storytelling with improvisational theater and other types of performance like that in order to sort of deepen the understanding of things, because I think that we all believe that poetry and literature and filmmaking and playwriting, that they're all different. And while there are different things about them, the whole aspect of telling a story, telling a piece of somebody's life, whether that's through abstraction of language, through narrative format, through something that is both something that's visual or something that's theatrical, it's still a piece of somebody's life, and there's still honesty there that needs to be portrayed. And so I think that's really the through line with all different forms of poetry, prose, storytelling, poetry, prose, film, and theater, is that as long as you can find that kernel of honesty and chase it and follow it, that's the heart and soul of those 4 mediums, I think. Yeah, and the back.
How long? I got a couple questions actually. How long have you been doing poetry? Like, when did you first figure out in your mind to write, to think that hey, this is for me? How long have you been doing poetry, basically?
I've only been doing poetry for, let's take that. Oh God, 10 years. I'm so old now. It's like, oh, it couldn't be 2007. Yeah, but about 10 years is how long I've been doing poetry. The collection, all the poems in the collection have been in some way over the past 5 years that I've written, slowly but surely. So Desamant was the first one that was written 5 or 6 years ago, and then the rest kind of fell into place after that. So about 10 years, but the collection itself is maybe 5 years in the making. But I've been a writer for much longer than that.
And my second question, you said you originally went to school with originally you went there for filmmaking. Do you still have interest in filmmaking, or did you really just put that aside in favor of poetry?
Oh no, I got 3 degrees when I was in college, so I never slept. So I got a film degree, a cinema and digital arts degree with a concentration in screenwriting and directing, an English creative writing, and then a playwriting studies degree. So I couldn't give up any of them. Is the long and short of it, because it's just so much fun, and each one of them is different, and so it's hard to let them go. Any other questions? Yeah.
Do you have like a special place you like to write, like a quiet place or by the lake or something like that?
Oddly enough, I like to write in like the least quiet place possible. So some people are like, I like to go by the lake, write my sonnets. And I'm like, no, I need like a very loud cafe or like a party. I can't tell you how many parties I just like walked away from and just like sat there and like wrote on napkins. I think how I operate as a poet is usually an idea kind of percolates for a long time, and it's not until I'm kind of in the hustle and bustle and watching people in motion and life in motion that I really start to get inspired to put pen to paper. Yeah.
Even if your audience may not understand everything that you're speaking about, what do you hope that your audience walks away with?
I hope they just walk away liking it. That's ultimately what it's all about. Like there are so many poems and poets that I love, and I don't understand their life. Right? Like I love the poet Charles Simic. I was not a Polish man growing up during World War II era, and so I don't know what the true horror that he faced. But I think that his imagery is beautiful, and people think that he writes very surreal. And then he said one time in an interview, he's like, when I talk about torsos hanging on telephone wires, that's just like real life. And you're like, oh crap. And I don't know what that's like, but I love the imagery. It evokes a certain amount of beauty and intrigue for me, and it lingers on the mind. And I think that's what all poets like. They don't necessarily need you to relate exactly to their life story, which isn't even maybe necessarily, which isn't, might not even necessarily be tied to the poetry itself. They just want to create a moment that inspires you to create moments of your own. And yes, I'm arrogant enough to speak for all poets here.
One more question?
Yes, you.
With your cinema degree and your poetry and writing or English degrees, have you thought about combining those, or have you combined those and created like a film or something?
I think I have in some ways. Certainly, the festival is one way that I combine things. Also, just in terms of when I write my screenplays, I've been told, and my plays, I've been told very often, there's so much prose, and well, yeah, it's because I'm a writer, and so, and as a director, also, I try to create poetry in moments. I try to create those beauty in moments. So it's not just about. So when you're making a film, there's so many things that are involved, right? It's like, yes, there's the actual script, but then also there's cinematography, and there's characterization, there's character work, and so I like to kind of create all of those things together so that each scene, without sounding incredibly artsy and esoteric, is that each scene is like a poem in and of itself, right? Like how does the background influence what's happening on this happening on the stage if it's a play? How does it influence what's happening on the screen? Right? How does the DP like frame stuff, and what's the art direction that makes all of these little moments that are happening, whether it's a story or whether it's a film or a play? How do I sort of paint the scene poetically? And that's true. I mean, if you're going to do creative, nonfiction, like you're going to write essays, if you're going to be writing stories of your own, you can still do poetry within your own work. There's prose poetry, really painting the scene in a way that's not so black and white. That's more dreamy and inspired, and has personifications about your characters and your lives. And so poetry can be snuck into many facets of your life, and I definitely try to do that. Do you have time for?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, in the pink.
So for poems, you do multiple poems, but do they have like the same characters and like with character development? Like, I heard a lot of there's like the Polaroid, like that has 3 parts. It's all about growing up.
Yeah, so I would say in this collection, definitely it's from the perspective of 2 different people, and so it follows them throughout their lives. Okay. In poetry collections, that's always not necessarily the case. And it's also not the case that like the poet is just because the poet is speaking that it's necessarily the poet's life either, right? Because I've never been to Arizona, but but that's one of the characters in the
That's
story.
like what they're watching.
Yeah. So it's usually from the point of view of the speaker of the poem, and like I said, and sometimes in some cases that is multiple characters over time, different points of view. It really is just on a per poem, per collection basis.
Okay, yeah.
And part of that is the mystery of reading poetry too. Is who is the narrator? Who are they speaking
Yeah.
to? Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so everyone, let's thank Jekeva for sharing her work. And applause.
There are collections of Little to Buy, they're $12, and also Wordlit Zine, which is $7. It's a poetry local Pacific Northwest quarterly for readers, writers, and bibliophiles. So it has a cool fiction and poetry in there as well. So if you're interested.
I guess we'll be here for a few minutes, and then if you want to speak one-on-one, and then Jekeva's going to be heading with Wes's class to the classroom in the back to do a workshop. Thanks again, everyone.